What's up guys? Welcome to another amazing episode of Beyond Academics. Today on the guest seat I have Jitendra Chouksey with me, founder of most amazing fitness company in India known as FITTR. Before starting FITTR, JC was working in IT for 8 years and he founded this company with an aim of making 50 million people fit around the globe. FITTR was started with an humble investment of just 95,000 rupees and today in less than 4 years it is valued at 300 crore rupees. You must have heard a lot of success stories about this amazing organization, but today we will deep dive into the mind of man behind this organization. Come and join me for candid conversation with JC on the other side. Today we have a special guest, JC, with me. JC bhai, thank you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. So I would like to start with the first question. You have always given a big targets or spoken about the very big targets like making 50 million fit and having a 10,000 plus festivals, the Connect festival which you recently finished, 10,000. So do you have any kind of fear of failure for that, or how do you decide those?
I think fear of failure is always there, but then you also over a period of time realize that you can learn a lot of things from failures. And obviously whenever you do something and you take over a big challenge, you want to come out with flying colors, but the thing is, if you fail, you know what you did wrong, and because of that you are in a much better position to nail that challenge next time compared to somebody who hasn't even attempted it because of the fear of failure. So if two people are trying to attempt a challenge, the one who fails is always in a better position to nail the challenge compared to the one who has never attempted because he was too scared. So the fear is there, but you just learn to adjust.
So this comes out of your confidence, or you just want to set the benchmark very high for yourself?
I think it's both. I think I've realized that I do love taking challenges head on, and I think as a society also we are evolving. It's not the same as it used to be like 20-30 years back when if you failed you were labeled as a failure. Now everybody's failing and everybody is creating amazing stuff, and it's after repetitive failures when you see success you automatically believe that failure does have something important to contribute to your successes. So I think as a society we are learning that failures are also an important part of our life, and I think that's really helping me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you started this company from a very humble start, like in 95,000 to growing to at this stage. What will be the valuation?
So 40 million.
40 million. Wow. So and before that you were just having working with IT, a very normal routine. So what motivated you to start this?
Like I keep telling people, it was a big accident. Didn't really plan on creating anything like that. To be very honest, I didn't even think about it, something like this. There's always aspirations. There's always things which are in your head. You'd never speak them out loud because you're in no position to say those kind of things, right? So that drive, that ambition is always there. But like as a kid, you always want to become a superhero, but you can't. So even if you tell somebody, they think that you are probably mad because it's too fantastic, outlandish. And so ambitions and drive is always there. I think it's in all of us. But sometimes some people get the opportunity to live that, and I think I was lucky enough to get the opportunity wherein I suddenly woke up and realized that, hey, this is it. This is my calling in life. I wasn't looking for it. Maybe that's why I found it.
Okay.
So you found it, as you said, accidentally, but there is any secret or any way where people can find their purpose with your experience, obviously?
I think every human being on this planet, every life form has an ulterior purpose, like besides procreation, besides having fun, besides exploration, and that function is to learn and pass on. Okay, that function is to serve. So I think people, if they realize that they genuinely want to serve people, and because you genuinely want to serve people, you start hating the problems that is not allowing you to serve, and automatically what happens is you develop a passion for solving problems. The more you solve the problems, the more you realize that the fun is in solving the problem and not really in the outcome. So I think I have developed a knack for solving problems, and I genuinely care about those problems and the solutions because I genuinely started caring about people. So I think in today's time most of the people don't care about other people, or maybe they do, it's just that they don't know what next. So if you ask me, I would say, if you really care about people, if you really care about anything, take the first step, find out what is a problem, and then just solve it. Once you solve the problem, I think money, fame, all these things are just byproducts, obviously highlighted more than solving the problem itself. But at the core of everything, and there's a problem and there's a solution, and that's just it. I always tell people that find problems which are troubling you, because if it is troubling you, there's a good chance the same problem might be troubling hundreds of other people out there. So rather than trying to do something really big, like landing a moon on Mars, landing a rocket on Mars or moon, just see if you can walk out of your home and reach office without any problems. So the minute you start thinking about the small problems and you solve them, suddenly you realize that you can solve big problems too. So you develop a characteristic where you start working on a simple problem. Once you solve it, you move on to the next problem.
Okay.
So I'm always the kind of guy who starts solving for 1 mark question and moves on to 2 and then 5 mark questions.
Okay.
Usually if you do it the other way around, and if you end up not being able to solve the 5 mark question,
Okay.
The confidence goes down.
Yes.
So start small and then gradually build up.
Okay. So I'm sure this journey must have not been very easy for you. So I would like to know about 2 challenges, especially from your life. One is being from a small town. How did it impacted you in this journey? Was it difficult, or like this came in your mind? Did it challenge you?
I think personal circumstances never posed any kind of challenges, and that's the beauty of it. A lot of people make excuses about how their personal circumstances are not letting them move further in life. I never felt that my humble beginnings had any kind of interruptions in whatever I was trying to do, or had any kind of negative impact. If anything, it just showed me that I'm confident. So I wasn't scared when I was coming here. Sitting amongst the big boys, I was never lacking the confidence. So I don't think your personal circumstances pose any kind of challenge if you want to do something. So that's something which people need to get rid of. It's unnecessary baggage. The problems and the challenges is some of the problems which I faced were obviously trying to convince people what I'm trying to do, and the kind of world that we live in. If you try to do good stuff, people somehow don't believe you, and they feel like you're some kind of a con, some kind of a cheat or a fraud.
Right.
And it's just hurtful. So but it's also good because it keeps you on your toes. So you have to constantly be doing stuff and showing them that, hey, look, I'm a good guy, and you don't have to believe me, so I'm doing this good stuff. Look, this stuff is really good.
Yes.
And they're like, and then you keep on doing more good stuff, and they're like, maybe you are a good guy.
Yes.
And then you keep on doing more good stuff. So it's very difficult in today's time to convince people that you are doing good stuff, and you can build amazing businesses. You can change the world for better by not giving into the evil side.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very difficult to convince. You go and tell people, hey, be nice. They'll be like, आज के ज़माने में कौन अच्छा होता है?
सही बात है.
And that's completely wrong. If you move forward in life with that kind of thinking, trust me, you're not moving ahead in your life.
Okay.
I think the biggest challenge was convincing people that, hey, be good, do good. And other challenge was, I don't know, man, it was fun. So I don't see any other challenge.
So one such incident which challenged you the most, any example,
Actually, I'll give you two such incidences. So one was back in October 2016 when a lot of my team members quit abruptly, and I didn't know what was happening. And I'm not sure if those guys really had the intention to hurt me, or they thought I was the bad guy. But since it's my story, I think maybe I was the good guy. They just didn't understand me. And these guys left, and when they left, I was just alone in the company, and I didn't know what would happen. Suddenly my technical team was gone. Suddenly my accounts team was gone. Suddenly my finance team, people, whoever were handling this were gone. Along with that, some consultants also left. So to be able to convince my people that we can still go on, that was pretty challenging. I cried, So back in October 2016, people are coming back and saying, JC, hey, people are leaving, what's happening? And maybe you are crazy, maybe you have to be nice and this and that. And I was constantly being asked if it was my fault. And I just stood firm on my ground, and people saw me for what I was. And then, we soared.
Okay.
Soared better than before. So that was one of the challenges. And
how did you specifically dealt with that, over that period? What went through you?
I don't know. So I think there were always people around me who believed in me. So when the people left, there were some people who said, JC, we believe in you. And then those guys came forward, and they became my trustees and like my personal aides. And then along with them, it was very hard because they were not qualified to take over all the stuff. And so sometimes we'd sit overnight, and to be very honest, we didn't even know what time or day it was. We just sit over and work on all the stuff, and slowly, gradually, we got over it. Luckily for us, all this time, the clients were always with us. We were always getting good feedback, and so qualitative measures were always in the place, so that didn't hurt us really. And revenues were also positive, so we had the money to we had the money to sustain. But I really felt that was really one of the biggest challenge. And early this year, I was in sort of a depression because
Of a depression.
yeah, like everybody goes through things, right? So January this year, and it didn't start off on a great note. Things were slowing down, and we were not really sure if and I wasn't even feeling driven or interested. I think it's because of my personal problems, because my back was really causing a lot of issues, and I'd never been more unfit in the last so many years. And I'm a guy who loves working out every single day, and if I'm not fit, if I wake up and I see a little bit of fat on me, that's like, oh, so I think that was causing a lot of stress. I wasn't feeling at my best. And and a lot of people were like, JC, why are you doing this, why are you doing that? And I took some harsh decisions. Some people had to quit
The organization.
Yeah, in the organization, some of the senior guys were let go because we felt that they are dragging down the company.
Okay.
And their performance were not up to the mark, and because of that, people might have perceived me as somebody who's kind of an asshole, who's like a guy who lacks empathy, which is not true because I'm a very sensitive guy, but I've also learned to cope with when people leave, because so yeah, it was very challenging. Then luckily, MIT bootcamp happened in Tokyo, and that's where I learned that it's all part and parcel of a corporate life. Yeah, so you either take things personally, or you learn to let go. And then I realized, and when I saw that I have responsibility of a lot more people, and so I got over it, and then I took some actions, and everything worked out fine.
So this brings me to a very interesting question of your leadership. Your team have a people from a various age, much elder to you and much be quite younger to you, plus an expectation of 5 lakh plus members. So how do you cope up with that?
Honestly, I have trouble dealing with people who are elder to me, and there were people who were elder to me in the team previously, but not right now. I personally always felt that somehow, when you start weighing in experience too much, it limits creativity. And that was what was happening. So we had to let go of some of those senior members because they were creating too much of politics and stuff. And more than the work, they were trying to harass people. The traditional IT kind of setup. So I didn't like that. And although they had like huge, they had a big resume with a lot of work experience, I just personally didn't feel it was the right thing to do, and so we had to let go of some of those senior guys. And now everybody is just young guys. It's a very chilled out atmosphere, very casual atmosphere, and I like it this way.
So were they part of your core team?
Not really. So our core team has been intact for the last few years. We have 5 people. We are very close to each other, and we've always been like this. And all of us, we have complementary skill sets. So whatever happens, the core team stays intact. So no change in that.
But as a society, we are still in that phase of where we give a lot of importance to particular degree or an education. And if somebody wants to move from that, from a particular degree or academics into a very unconventional field, it brings a lot of uncertainty. So what advice do you have to deal with this particular situation? Like probably a mid-age or a fresher or a 25-30-year-old person in his or her career. So what advice do you have for this particular uncertainty?
See, we are continuously evolving, right? And every decade, every century brings its own set of problems which needs to be solved in its own way. 50 years back, probably degrees mattered because people didn't have these kind of problems that we do today. Or now that we know that softwares can do much better job than humans, AI can take care of my accounting. I don't necessarily need a qualified CA to manually maintain a registry or something. A lot of that work can be done by software. Same if you go to an airport in Singapore or US, you'd see that people are doing a lot of the stuff by themselves, and you have machines, teller machines which do all the stuff for you. And so we realize that we are moving into the times when skills which previously we thought were important skills are now becoming very menial, or let's say they're not very in demand kind of a thing. So as a society, we also have to understand that there's no right or wrong way of doing things. We just have to evolve into what the future looks like, and it's usually incidents, things, technological developments which pushes people into adopting these kind of what we call as societal standards. Right now, I see technology is making that push again, where most of these jobs and degrees won't even be needed in the future. What would be needed though is your ability to survive, your ability to solve a problem immediately, your reaction and your action.
Correct.
And if we understand that fast enough, it'll be better for us. Otherwise, we'll keep falling into abyss. And from where I see, the scenario does not look very stable, very bright to me.
Okay.
So we have to be on our toes, and we have to understand that the world is changing very rapidly. We either change with it or we perish.
You are also a very hardworking and very read person or knowledgeable person in your particular industry. How do you keep yourself ahead in the game?
Okay, first of all, I don't think I'm a very knowledgeable person. I think it's good to keep yourself up to date on whatever is happening around you, and then you just apply logic, and you, like Elon Musk keeps saying, you just try to be less wrong every time. So nobody is absolutely correct. The idea is always to be as close to the truth as correct as you can be, but not necessarily 100% correct. And I think correctness is something which you achieve over a period of time. So I don't think I'm an expert, but I manage with whatever I can get my hands on. And the way I keep myself ahead is, first of all, I watch a lot of movies.
Okay.
So movies are like compressed information all packed in one. So I love watching movies. Social media is a great learning.
Okay.
So I am very active on social media platforms. I see what people are doing.
Yes.
And then it's a blend of everything. The incidences happening around you. You observe and then you reflect. Because I personally feel that a lot of things you learn by just observing and reflecting back on it. And the more you get equipped with this way of observing and reflecting, you learn to learn stuff. And what happens is people don't know how to learn things.
Okay.
And if you learn to learn things, you can pick up any skill in some time. For example, I was trying my hands at guitar. I've never taken formal training for guitar, but I know how to learn. And so I just started learning guitar, and I got good at it.
So this is very interesting concept which you brought is to learn things. So how do people work on that?
You learn to learn by learning to learn.
Oh, so before moving ahead, you should follow JC in all his social media platforms.
Just follow me on LinkedIn and Facebook. That's good enough.
To get some daily dose of inspiration and learnings.
Yeah. And then just observe things, and then question. Like Socrates, he is a famous philosopher, the first one, not the first one. I mean, we had Thales before him. Socrates was very famous because he brought in a very important aspect which changed the course of humanity. He said, question everything, because by questioning and discussing, you learn. So every time you see something, don't just take it for granted. You have to ask yourself, where did it come from? The more you ask questions, the more you can find out if there's a better way. So the probable solutions lie in your imagination, and no matter how weird it might be.
Right.
First it is in your thoughts, in your imagination, and then you test it out. So your imagination is always primary, and that's why observing and reflecting becomes so much more important, because the possible solution is going to come from that.
Yes.
So coming back to the question around your life, so people must have asked you so many times, what should I do, how should I move from one field to another, but I want to ask it reverse. What do you feel that what is holding people back from not growing in their life and from transitioning basically?
I personally feel that people think they are free, but in reality they're not free.
Okay.
And the real freedom is when you are able to free yourself from a dogma, from taboos, from societal mindset.
Taboos of society or their own mindset?
Society, their own learnings, their own culture.
Okay.
So it's like if you are if you're inside the box,
Correct.
the box becomes your world, and then you start forming everything based on the box. You know, so for you, the sky is the surface of the box because that's what you have seen. So to be able to truly break free, you have to step out of your comfort zone. You have to climb up the box and then try punching out and see if there's something outside the box. And then there's a whole lot of new world which is revealed in front of you. So I think people love their comfort too much. They love to believe in what they see. They love to believe that we live in a world which is going to stay the same way for the next 100, 200 or years, and completely undermine the fact that the world that we know, this world is just developed in the last 50 odd years. Before this, there were bones and blood. And there were civilizations which killed civilizations. There were people who were killing each other. So people need to understand that all that changed because people stepped out of the box.
Yes.
People made efforts to change that. And so as long as they understand that it is also their duty to lead the world towards a better future, they will find peace in discomfort, and they'll find peace in uncertainty because they know that, hey, the uncertainty is going to be there, but I'm the one who's going to fix it. So as long as several people are trying to push the stone will eventually roll. But what happens is people expect other people to push the stone, and because it's just one person trying to push the stone, sometimes it becomes too difficult, and then the rest of the guys are just observers. So I think people need to assume the responsibility on themselves rather than just seeking leaders, seeking help from thought leaders. Because I think what the world needs today is action leaders, and every single person has the capability to become an action leader.
So this whole process is all up and down. So what is one piece or what one suggestion to stick to keep motivated in the down phase?
Look, first of all, I don't understand why people have to put everything in a negative manner. I'm not ashamed to say that I was depressed one. I'm not ashamed to say that I get angry at times, and sometimes I lose control. I'm a very happy guy, and I'm also a very like a normal guy, a cool guy. So I don't get angry usually, and obviously over a period of time I've grown tougher and I don't respond back to negative situations easily. But why is it so bad if I do? Because I have learned. So as long as I'm learning, every negative experience in my life is somehow molding me in a particular manner. So I think people are too scared, and they try to be at their best behavior. They try to be self-righteous, and think the kind of energy that gets wasted in doing that, it's the same energy they could have used in exploring things.
Right.
We know cyanide is poisonous because somebody would have tasted it so evolution requires sacrifice, but you should be willing to put yourself on the pedestal, and be ready to sacrifice yourself too. And that's the only way you truly know what's happening. If you just want to be if you just want to stay safe, if you just want to stay insured, and if you just want to stay away from troubles, then you're not really learning. So get into trouble, that's okay.
And with lot of success, how do you handle your critics?
So I think they keep me on my toes. Critics suck. Obviously, nobody likes to hear negative criticism.
Pull you down?
No, I don't think they pull me down. If anything, they strengthen my resolve to keep doing better. And a lot of people think, don't care about them, or don't pay any attention to them. The fact is, I can't ignore people who are saying bad things. I don't remember them necessarily, but I do remember what people said, and it just hurts, because you're not personally hurting them, and then somebody is just trying to throw stone at you. It hurts.
Yes.
And you are not even moving in their direction, or you are not even telling them anything. It's like you're just passing on a road. Somebody's like,
just because of success?
I don't know. Maybe because they love hurling stones at people. So it hurts, and it requires a great deal of patience to deal with such kind of people. But it also feels good when you keep getting stronger.
Okay.
With all the success of squats, getting latest, like selecting for YC Combinator 2020, how do you see yourself in next 5 years?
I don't know, man. It's difficult to predict the future, but we are trying our best to be the best fitness wellness company in the whole world. I don't want to restrict myself to just making 50 million people fit anymore.
Okay. So what are the next targets? Have you already decided?
Yeah. So now the target is 1 billion people.
1 billion people.
1 billion people.
Wow.
And we want to incorporate fitness as a culture. Like, fashion is followed by probably 1 billion people or more. So if fashion is followed by 1 billion people or more, why cannot fitness be followed by 1 billion people or more? And fitness is not very different from fashion. It can be used as a tool to stay relevant in society. I mean, fashion is just a tool to stay relevant in society. Otherwise, if you think about fashion, it's garbage. And people will say, oh, you don't understand fashion. Well, I absolutely do. And I realize the importance of fashion.
Okay.
But to think that fashion adds any kind of value to human evolution in terms of research, or in terms of providing equality and all those things, no, it doesn't. But it does help in improving societal standards. Okay, it does help in driving people towards something.
Right.
What that thing is might differ from one person to another. Similarly, I feel that fitness is a driver, just like fashion is, and fitness provides the necessary hygiene for a body which can transition then to a better mental and better spiritual state.
Yes.
So you see, fashion and fitness, they have a lot in common, and so I feel that fitness is not just something which people should just casually follow. I think it's a great driver. And by the way, I didn't mean any disrespect to fashion. I just said it in a way that people understand that fashion is not science.
Right.
Although fitness is
a science,
but fashion is not science. If you ask, hey, what's a good fashion? You cannot arrive at a scientific calculation, because to be honest, a good fashion is something which people do in movies, and then everything follows. And just because people do it in movies, that does not make it science. So a lot of people start doing something, the others start following it, and then that becomes fashion.
Yes.
Similarly, fitness is like that. A lot of people start becoming fit, and then people start following that. So it has to become a part of the culture.
Yes. So does this 1 billion of the target of 1 billion brings anxiety or any fear of failure?
Again, I don't mind that fear of failure, because I will learn.
Okay.
And if there is anybody else, if there's anybody who is in a position to reach that goal of 1 billion, I personally feel that we are the best possible contenders for that, because so much of experience, couple of failures. I mean, how many people actually dream to do that? So like I said, the possible solutions, first they come in your mind, and then the actual solutions happen. So it's already in our mind. How are we going to reach there? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's in my imagination, it's in my thought.
Okay.
And so we'll do whatever is necessary.
So last two questions to you is, one is, when people start, generally the graph goes like this and this, which is up and down. But when we see the graph of your company in all the sections of social media or the new ventures, the graph generally is moving up.
Yeah.
So what is the success? What is the secret for that?
Well, it's not true that a graph is always moving up. Yeah, if you're talking about in terms of revenue, in terms of client numbers, so you always have a compounding effect. Okay, so if 10 people give you good reviews, eventually it moves up to 100, and then 100 people moves to 1,000. So there's a compounding effect.
Yes.
It's the network effect, but that does not mean that everything is always perfect.
Yeah.
Like I said, some days I'm angry, some days I'm happy, some days I'm just ready to ready to fire. So it's the same with your company, but what matters is overall who you are. What kind of actions have you taken, and what kind of change you have made into this world. So as long as your quantifiable output results into something positive, something better, I think a little bit of hiccups and minor setbacks can always be adjusted.
Yeah.
And the graph is definitely not like a linear. No, it's not. It's definitely this, and it's a minor blip, and then so you do have setbacks, you do have failures, but when you plot it on a graph, it does look like it's a great graph, but comes at a lot of comes with a lot of struggle.
But you have broken so many laws of the business.
Yeah. I mean, who made these laws?
Yeah, generally, what were those, like the marketing and the metrics and all those things. So from that point of view.
Yeah, I know. When I started, even people were like, "You have to do marketing." I'm like, "Why? If I'm getting customers without marketing, why should I market?" Then there were people like, "Oh, why are you publishing your company's personal details?" I love sharing all the data, and sometimes even posted companies' financials, audit reports. When I was arguing with, did that, somebody was arguing with me on LinkedIn. They were like, "Nah, that's not possible." I like, "Okay, this is our audit report."
Yeah.
So I published it, and one of the comments, and then people like, "Nobody does that. Why are you doing this?" I'm like, "Where's the rule book?
Yeah.
Is it illegal?"
Yeah.
And it's not. And surprisingly, what happens is, like I said, you're living inside a box, and then somehow that box becomes your reality. And I am someone who can't live inside a box. I will always punch my way out of the box, and be it like going from one box to another, I will keep punching my way out of the boxes till I run out of the boxes, till I'm finally free. And that's always the endeavor. So I might be breaking rules, but I'm definitely not breaking the law. And it's liberating. You do things the way you want to do, and if it's working, then maybe people who made those rules should take a relook. Tesla doesn't follow Toyota.
Right.
And Toyota has been known for Six Sigma standards and this and that, and I think Tesla is not even close to whatever Toyota is doing. But look, Tesla is changing the world in better ways than Toyota ever could.
Yeah.
And so I think over a period of time, everything that people tell gets outdated. The idea is to always keep on up to date, and then do what you feel right at that point of time. And like Bruce Lee famously said, be like water. So try to go with the flow.
Okay.
And so right now I'm here. Tomorrow I might be somewhere else. Right now these are my thoughts. Tomorrow they might change.
Yes.
The idea is that we have to make this world a better place, and it is my responsibility. And so as long as I'm aware that I have a responsibility towards my people, towards my country, towards this world, we'll figure out a way to contribute.
So does this responsibility brings more power and more energy, or?
It does, and then you never wake up and ask yourself, what am I going to do? You always know. And this is something which I always keep telling people, no matter how many stunts you can do on your car or how good you can drive, if you don't know where you're going,
right,
then it's useless.
Yes.
And I'm the guy who doesn't have any kind of talents except one. I always know where I'm going.
Okay.
And so that's my superpower. I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm going to serve people. So you know, I'll figure out a ride. I'd walk. I'd take a plane. I'd hire a cab.
So whatever you will do is always going to be around the serving.
I'm going somewhere. I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Okay. And what one piece of advice you would like to give to 18-year-old yourself?
18-year-old,
Yourself, yeah.
nothing. Like, yeah, you're getting fucked right now in life, and that's perfectly fine because you will become me, and so you're at the right place and right time, doing right stuff, and all those learnings will translate into me. So just keep doing whatever you're doing.
Okay. That was amazing. So this was it. Thank you so much for
Thanks a lot.
coming to the show.
Thank you so much.
Until next time, from Yash and JC.
Thanks, guys.
Hope you guys have enjoyed this conversation. If you have any feedback, please drop in the comment section below. And for more such inspiring stories, please like, share and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon